Hello everybody and welcome back. This is JudiciousFire. I'm on the iOS server. This is the third installment in the series. We're looking at the entire hero compendium down at the blue tab, then the pink and yellow book. We're going through all of the heroes in the game in order of release. This is part 3. We left off last time with Santa Boom. We are now on to Pixie. We're going to be looking at these 10 heroes today. Pixie, Siren, Destroyer, Warlock, Treantaur, Harpy Queen, Skull Knight, Dread Drake, Ghulam, and Kane. Let's look at our first hero. Let's go to Pixie. Okay, Pixie is a hero that heals your team. She does a little bit of damage. She's a bit like a sniper. She'll do damage to heroes from a distance. She will remove their buffs or their bonuses in battle, and she'll remove the debuffs or the negative statuses of your team. She is an older hero. There are heroes that do a much better job. She is not an essential hero. Really, I'm just trying to keep her alive with a Sacred Light. A little extra health, a little bit of damage reduction. I have Mini Angie with her. This way, with a healing pet, she's able to not only heal members of the team, but the pet's able to also heal her. Just try to keep her alive. I have a Survival to give another opportunity to heal. She is a hero that does not have a great deal of survivability, even at max level. I have a Victory Lunge on her. Her skill shows that she will heal based on her attack. So I gave her a little extra attack so she gets a greater healing effect. She can also reflect a small amount of damage. I, again, accentuated her attack to give her a better opportunity to heal. I also gave her a little bit of dodge to keep her out of trouble. She's got about 29,000 damage, about 600,000 health. You can see that she's got a pretty high accuracy rate and a pretty high dodge rate. You want something like that in a sniper. Let's go to our next hero. We have ourselves Siren. Siren is a hero that is available for shard purchases. I believe 20,000 shards in the hero sale. You can purchase Siren. She will be a great hero to use in a few specific game modes. Siren is geared towards Archdemon, as well as perhaps defeating bosses or goblins that maybe don't have a damage cap. There really aren't very many of those. Strictly speaking, Siren really only gets time off the bench when we're fighting against an Archdemon. She increases the damage that the demon is going to take in combat. This is how people are able to achieve scores of 500,000 for every hit. It is because of Siren's damage increase. This is how people are able to achieve high scores in Archdemon. In order to give her even more hits in battle against the Archdemon, I put a Sunder on her. Mathematically speaking, Sunder comes out ahead of the Brawler's Favor talent or any of the Oracle talents or Saint talents. They are a close second, but in terms of hits per second, you want to go with a Sunder. As far as her crest is concerned, I went with the second best in terms of the number of hits in battle against the Archdemon, and that would be the Brawler's Favor insignia. She's able to hit again and again in combat. That's going to up your Archdemon scores. I paired her with Punching Box. Punching Box is best put on the hero that has the highest damage on your Archdemon team. So I put Punching Box on Siren because currently she's got about 36, almost 36,000 damage and is about 600,000 health. Nothing in terms of accuracy and dodge or in terms of crit, and that is because and I'll come back to that in one moment, her traits, I went as much attack as I could possibly do. This way, we're able to get that base damage up to 500,000 again and again on the Archdemon. In terms of her equipment, again, she's just used in that game mode for me, so I put a Pyre Mage on her. Pyre Mage is a little thing that'll fight alongside her. That counts as an extra hero in combat, giving you extra hits. Those extra hits accumulate in terms of damage, and you get a higher Archdemon score. So she is geared just towards that game mode for me. Move on to our next hero. We've got ourselves Destroyer. Okay, Destroyer is a hero that he creates a stun. He does some attack damage to those in his nearby area. He deflects almost more than half of the damage that he's taking. He pushes it back at his attacker. He also has a built-in life drain. So you want to stay away from life drain as a main talent. It would not double his life drain capability. One of them would be canceled, the lowest one. So this is my logic and reasoning. I placed Berserk on him. It's going to allow him to get a higher attack speed when his attack speed boost is not operating. It's also going to allow him to hit more often in the long run, thereby allowing him to drain more life and gain more heals because of the life drain. He is a hero that has to activate his skill to get the entire process going. So it is important to have something like a Revitalize on him somewhere. Once he gets going, once that skill activates, then he'll get those big speed boosts, and he's a bit like a train. A train takes a very long time to get started, to get moving out of the station, but once it's going at full speed, it's really cruising. It's just like that way with Destroyer. I have Rudolph on him. Rudolph is going to take away the negative conditions, the negative statuses, the debuffs of friendly heroes. Also help to heal Destroyer. I gave him an Unbridled Fury. This helps to increase his attack speed when his skill is not operating during that cooldown time. And the thing with Unbridled Fury is there are times, you have to look at this enchantment two ways. There are times when the hero is with Pumpkin Duke, and there are times when the hero is not with Pumpkin Duke. When you're using Pumpkin Duke and other heroes, Pumpkin Duke is going to give an attack speed boost that's far greater than Unbridled Fury. And they're not going to add on to each other. Pumpkin Duke's abilities are going to overshadow any kind of Unbridled Fury enchantment. But most of the time, I'm not running Destroyer with Pumpkin Duke, so having Unbridled Fury will give him that speed boost when his skill isn't activating. As far as traits are concerned, I got a little bit of dodge. Now, stay away from dodge when it comes to heroes that deflect or knock back damage at the enemy. You want them to take damage so they can push it back at the enemy. But Destroyer doesn't survive very well. And I thought a little bit of everything, but leaning towards the dodge to keep him not from getting hit every time might actually give him some survivability. Destroyer is by no means an essential hero. Not a hero that you would necessarily use in any particular game mode. It's not a hero that you have to get by any stretch of the imagination. He's coming in at about 32,000 damage, about 680,000 health. He's got a high accuracy and a high dodge. Go to our next hero. Our next hero is Treantaur. Where are you, buddy? There he is. Okay, Treantaur. Treantaur is an essential hero. Treantaur is a game-changing hero. Treantaur is a hero that I would always want somewhere in my altar, ready and available, and at a high skill and hero level in order to stay alive and do what he does well. He brings 7 of your team, so basically your entire team. He can bring them back. He will bring back 6 members of your team, your entire team. He will bring them back from the dead. He will revive them. He will also give your whole team a 60% damage reduction. So whatever they're getting hit for, they're only going to be taking 40% of that damage. That's a big change in Castle Clash. When Treantaur was released, things really did the game strategy in certain modes really did change, because now we could bring people back from the dead. I want to always keep Tree alive. I want to run a Sacred Light, extra damage reduction, extra health. Make sure he remains what he is, and that's a support hero. You don't put him out in front. You don't want him taking damage. The only kind of offensive talent I would put on him might be a Zealous Drive. A little bit of extra range, but he also gets that damage reduction too. I have Bublo on him to give him a heal, to give the team a heal, and a little bit of movement speed boost. I have a Survival on him to personally heal him repeatedly in battle and give him some damage negation. I have a Malaise on him. I use Treantaur maybe a little differently than some. I do not use him to revive members of my team. I use him right in the center of battle during Guild Wars in order to provide a damage reduction to my team. He is a part of my Guild Wars attack team, and it's because of that damage reduction that I use Tree in every battle. I gave him a Malaise to shut down the healing ability of enemies like Levanica, Lazulix, Dovekeeper, those that are difficult to kill, and when they heal, it makes them even harder to kill. So with Malaise, it helps to stop their healing from happening. I go to traits, dodge, and health. I want to keep him alive and keep him out of danger. He's coming in at about 29,000 damage, about 680,000 health. You can see a decent accuracy, but a really nice high dodge rate. He is a support hero, a great hero to have, but you got to keep him in the back and keep him safe. If you want to use, it should be mentioned, if you want to use Treantaur, and I think what is the more popular way, to bring others back from the dead, especially during Guild Wars attacks, then what you'll want to do is this. You'll want to give him a Revitalize, either as a crest or insignia or as his main talent. By doing so, you're going to be able to get him to revive your team immediately. His first shot, and it'll bring your team back from the dead. Treantaur is also an auto proc hero. And as I review our compendium here, I believe that Treantaur is the very first auto proc hero that was introduced in the game. An auto proc hero is a hero that does not have to be under attack nor be attacking in order to activate its skill. If you place an Empower talent or an Empower insignia on an auto proc hero, that hero will just sit on your base, and when you're attacked, that hero will keep activating its skill again and again and again, even if it's not under direct attack. Auto proc heroes are great base defenders. They automatically fire. When it comes to Treantaur, his auto proc, his ability to immediately activate his skill and to continue to do so again and again as soon as his bar recharges, that ability will only provide the damage reduction to your team. Treantaur has to be in active combat, a game mode with active combat, to bring your team back from the dead. So if you put Treantaur on your base during a Guild Wars defensive scenario, he will only provide the damage reduction, which can be quite helpful, but he will not be bringing back your team from the dead, not automatically under auto proc. He has a skin as well. It is a skin that leans more towards health than anything else. A little bit of crit resist as well. Okay, next hero, we have ourselves Warlock. Where are you, Warlock? Here we are. Wonderful. Okay, we have Warlock. Warlock is a great hero to have. He's a great sniper. I think early game he can be very helpful, but he is not an essential hero. He's not somebody you have to have in this game. He's going to do a lot of damage. He's going to reduce movement speed, He's also going to allow your heroes, 4 of them, to deflect damage for a certain number of seconds. He is a hero that is a little bit on the older side, a little bit soft, so I try to give him a defensive talent, something that's going to keep him alive. The Zealous Drive is more so his offensive talent, gives him a little bit of extra damage, but still that damage reduction. I have Phoenix paired with him, and I do this because Phoenix reduces the movement speed of the enemy. Warlock also does so with his skill, so that helps to reduce a crowd's movement speed when you're going into an attack. I think it's important to have Warlock give you an immediate skill activation, so I like to have a Revitalize either as his talent, one of his talents, or to have it as a crest or insignia. I gave him Victory Lunge for a little bit of attack boost. I do not... I want to be clear about reflection in this game. You see that it allows 4 heroes to deflect 52% of the damage for 5 seconds. Putting something like a Victory Lunge that reflects 15% of the damage, the two don't add together. In this game, something like Reflect or Deflect, only the highest one activates. So if a hero is deflecting 50% of the damage, and you have an insignia or a crest that allows you to deflect 25% of the damage, it doesn't become 75. The one that is higher is the only one that activates. So the 15% reflect will be working for 2 seconds, but the remaining 5, if the deflect skill is on Warlock, will not be working. Okay, let's move on to his traits. I have dodge and health. I want to keep him alive. Can see his skill here. He's got a 21. His attributes. He's got a 21,000 damage output, almost 700,000 health. Excuse me, 630,000 health. High accuracy, high dodge. You can see his skin. Good amount of health, a lot of damage. Warlock, just like Treantaur, is an auto-proc hero. So if you have Warlock sitting on your base with an Empower Insignia or the Empower talent, you will find that he keeps firing off at the enemy, reducing their movement speed. He does not have to be under direct attack. He is a hero that can be a nice base defender, I think, in the early parts of the game. After a while, you'll find that there are better heroes to use, and he doesn't become nearly as essential. Okay, let's move on to the next hero. We have ourselves Harpy Queen. Harpy Queen is a hero that debuffs the enemy. She reduces attack speed, movement speed. She has a built-in level 5 Revitalize. So if you placed Revitalize on her, it would not stack and give her a double plus. It would just simply, one would be overwritten by the other. It would waste your talent. Now, you could make the argument that today's Revitalize, that also adds 100% energy, but also an attack boost, you would lose the energy portion, but you would keep the attack boost. Harpy Queen would be stronger, but it would be a waste of your talent. I think there's better ones to choose if you're looking for a more attack. Because Harpy Queen's an older hero, I went with Sacred Light just to keep her alive. She does not handle damage very well. She's somebody you want to keep in the back, debuffing. She is by no means an essential hero. She's a hero that has very little role in this game. I have her put up with Little Havoc because he too is reducing attack speed of enemies. I have Survival in order to keep her alive and to give her that heal. I would probably say her best talent might be something like a Victory Lunge, get her attack up, as well as give her some damage reflect. The reason I have Blinding Blow, and this is not an enchantment that I would recommend for her, I play the Warden challenge, the Challenger Warden, and many of my heroes, I think about 16, 20 now, I've changed in some form or fashion in order to suit a particular game mode called Challenger Warden. That's the only reason I have Blinding Blow on her. So I would go more so with a Victory Lunge, maybe an Energy Sap to help accentuate her her debuffing ability. I have Dodge, keep her out of trouble. Keep her alive. She has very little survivability. Go back here. About 26,000 damage, about 600,000 health. Real nice accuracy, real nice dodge rate. She is an auto proc hero. You put Empower on her, typically as an insignia or a crest. I think that's better. I find that if you are making heroes with the Empower talent, it ends up being a little bit too much energy for them, and they can't use it because they have a cooldown. They can't just keep firing off their skill again and again. They have to rest for a moment. So an insignia or a crest of Empower is great. Harpy Queen will keep firing at the enemy from a distance as they come to attack your base. Okay, next hero. We have ourselves Skull Knight. That's Ares. There we go. Okay, Skull Knight. Skull Knight was the first hero in Castle Clash that had a damage cap, meaning when his skill is activating, he can only take a certain amount of damage, and nothing more than that. If you hit this guy for 1,000,000, he'll only be able to take 3,000 per hit. That made Skull Knight at the time one of the strongest, greatest heroes in the game. Unfortunately, Skull Knight is no longer that way. Skull Knight can be killed with one shot, disappear, or 2-3 hits, and all of a sudden it's lights out. He is unfortunately a hero that's been retired by other heroes that have a better ability to do damage and survive, Dovekeeper being one of them. If you are still using Skull Knight, you're probably using him in some very specific game modes, and in those game modes he could be quite good. He's not an essential hero, just a hero that's fun to be able to play around with now and again. So he does a lot of damage. He's got a really high crit rate, and he can only take a certain amount of damage. He also has a very high attack speed. He has a built-in revive. So he'll come back from the dead. You want to stay away from revive as a talent. It won't work on him. I gave him 2 different talents. I gave him Sunder because of his high attack speed. Sunder is going to allow him to hit more often in combat. More hits per battle. It's going to make quite a difference in damage cap modes against bosses, goblins, demons, things like that. I gave him Eulophant in order to get a little bit of extra dodge, help to keep him alive so he's not taking direct damage constantly. Even with that damage cap, still he can still get killed pretty quickly in today's game. Please ignore this Flame Guard. I do not recommend Flame Guard. It was it was part of the Warden challenge from a week ago, or a couple of weeks ago, where you have to use some weird talents and some weird enchantments and traits. I changed that simply for that Warden challenge. I would think that a Sunder and maybe even a Survival talent would be great because of his damage cap. Things like a Stone Skin or a damage reducing talent like Sacred Light, they won't make any difference. So it's best just to have a damage talent or maybe a Survival if you want to give him the chance to heal. I gave him that through his Insignia. I have a Burning Plate on him. I don't recommend this. For the Warden challenge, I would go with something maybe like an Unbridled Fury to get his attack speed up. I have mostly dodge on him. He's a bit like a Ninja 2.0, okay? He took Ninja's whole idea of a great, fast, dodgy attacker and then just turned him into a massive warrior. Eulophant's going to contribute to getting that dodge up. He's got about 28,000 damage. about 700,000 health. You can see his high accuracy, but his extremely high dodge, almost at 5,000. In an uncapped damage mode, let's say that, and there is one that exists that I know of, you can keep running it yourself. If you go to Insane Dungeon 4-9, there is a demon in the top right-hand corner of the screen that I think has 100 million health. And you can do as much damage as you want, up to 100 million, and the game won't stop you. If you have something like a Sunder on Skull Knight, it does pair with his skill ability, and he can hit for 50 million, 75 million. But unfortunately, there aren't many game modes like that in Castle Clash. Here's his skin. You see the effect, a little bit of everything. Next up, we have ourselves Dread Drake. Dread Drake sends out all these cannonballs. They wreck bases. They stun enemies. He stops damage from happening, almost all of it. He stops 90% of it for 2.5 seconds out of 3. So for only a half a second is he vulnerable. He's got a built-in level 5 Revitalize, so you wouldn't want to use Revitalize on him as a talent or insignia. Today's Revitalize with the attack boost, he'll get the attack boost, but he won't get the Revitalize part, the energy part. I use him as a true base damager. Thereby, I went with Unholy Pact. I wanted him to do as much damage against a base as possible. I typically, if I'm just having fun raiding or something like that, or maybe in expeditions, and I want to clear things up very quickly, I drop Dread Drake. He's going to send those cannonballs out. Everything gets blown up. So Unholy Pact is great. I'm not worried about the extra damage he receives because he's got that 90% damage reduction. One thing about Dread Drake is if you give him a Berserk talent or a Berserk insignia or crest, because he's got that level 5 Revitalize, now paired with a higher attack speed of Berserk, he is going to be the first to fire off in combat. That will stun the other team. This is great for Lost Battlefield. This is great for something like an arena, early arena play. This is great for any kind of player versus player mode where you want to stun the other enemies. When it comes to who attacks first in combat, if you have two of the same hero, okay, two Treantaurs, and both of them have level 5 Revitalize, and they're both facing off against each other, and they're both in the same square, the game starts, which one fires off first? Which one activates his skill first? It's always going to be the Treantaur, or the hero in this game, that has a higher attack speed. So, two Dread Drakes, both with level 5 Revitalize built in, the one that has a Berserk and a higher attack speed is going to be the one that fires first. So that's my logic behind going with Berserk. If I want him to put that stun out first, I'll switch to Berserk. He is an Empower hero. He can keep generating energy through Empower. He's an auto-proc hero. With Empower, he can keep generating energy and keep firing off. He can sit on your base, throwing out cannonballs as people try to attack you. He's a great base defender, I think, first half of the game. I have him with Doom Balloon because Doom Balloon also destroys bases just like Dread Drake does. Victory Lunge for the extra damage. This guy's all damage. I want to increase that as much as I can. And attack. All attack. That's all I want him to do. One more thing about the Victory Lunge. It reflects damage back. This is the way it goes with really anything in Castle Clash. It reflects damage back. But because Dread Drake has a damage reduction, 90% damage reduction, you're going to be reducing also the damage that you reflect back at the enemy. But it's such a small amount. I like the fact that Victory Lunge gives him a big attack boost. That's the main reason I got that 25% attack boost. Here he is at, we're looking at almost 34,000 damage. And that's again and again and again as he throws out cannonballs. 750,000 health. When he came out, he had the biggest health pool in the game, along with one of the other heroes we're going to be looking at next. Nothing in terms of accuracy or dodge, any of these attributes. I went all damage. And there he is with his Octodread skin, which basically put any bonuses into attack the damage that he does. Okay, let's move on to our next hero. We have Ghulam. Ghulam is a healer. He heals your team. He also gives them a big damage decrease. He'll help to keep your team alive. If you are using Druid to heal your team, retire Druid and use Ghulam. Ghulam was the next stage, the next generation or evolution of healers in Castle Clash. In my opinion, he basically retired Druid in terms of keeping your team alive. The Druid certainly still does have some purpose, but he doesn't do anything like Ghulam does. Ghulam, though, is not as good of a healer, in my opinion, as good of a team member as a Walla Walla. If you have a Walla Walla, you want to retire Ghulam as well. Walla doesn't do quite what Ghulam does or heal as much, but Walla has so many benefits and purposes to your team and is an all-around great hero. I don't see as though you should have Ghulam in there if you've got a Walla Walla. So Ghulam is not an essential hero, a very helpful hero, but not an essential hero in this game. I gave him Sacred Light, although Ghulam does have a damage reduction in the time that it's down. In that second that it's down, Sacred Light will help. I also gave him Regenerate. It will more than double his healing capabilities in combat. I have Fennec Pet to heal him, to heal others on the team, and to stop a negative status from happening, something bad happening to our team. I have also Survival. Give another heal to Ghulam. A Victory Lunge to reflect a little bit of damage. Ghulam does so much damage that I don't know if that's really going to make such a difference. Again, I'm not really so much after the reflect of damage that he's being hit with, but I am after that extra 25% attack. I have some dodge and a little bit of accuracy. He's not what I would call an older hero, but he's certainly not one of the newly released heroes. So he's going to be a little bit more difficult to keep alive in combat. He's got about 29,000 health, about 780,000. Excuse me, he's got about 29,000 damage, about 780,000 health. Really nice accuracy, really nice dodge rate. Here he is with the skin. It's one of the earliest skins that they gave out in the game. Might have been the second skin that they gave out in the game after Cupid. Don't remember exactly, but you can see it's mostly geared towards health and keeping him alive. We move to our last hero of this installment of the series, and we move on to Candy Cane. Candy Cane is a hero that gives out an increased dodge rate to your team. She also lowers the energy of the enemy. She also does a little bit of damage to 4 of the heroes. Candy Cane's not essential in any way. You don't need to use Candy Cane in this game in order to advance. She's a hero that can be interesting to play around with every once in a while, but not necessarily somebody that you use on any kind of a regular basis. I have a Sacred Light simply because I want to keep her alive. She has a very low survivability rate. I have AVR. AVR is going to silence the enemy, stop them from activating their skill. Candy Cane reduces energy. The two go very well together. I have a Revitalize. Somewhere on Candy Cane, you're going to have a Revitalize, either as her main talent or as a crest or insignia. So I have it as an in insignia form. I have Victory Lunge for a little bit of extra attack as well as the damage reflect. I have almost all dodge to keep her alive, keep her out of danger, so she can apply the dodge skill boost to the rest of the team. She's coming in at almost 30,000 damage and at about 600,000 health. You can see that she has a nice accuracy, but that dodge is coming up at 4,600. That's really does try to keep her out of danger. Okay, this was a look at the next 10 heroes in the Castle Clash in our compendium. On the next installment, chapter 4 of 7, we're going to be looking at the next 10 heroes. That would be heroes number 31 through 40 in our Castle Clash compendium. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will check you on the next video. All right, bye-bye.